This is Weekend Mornings on 980 CKNW.
Nice to have you with us this Saturday morning. It's 5 degrees at English Bay. I'm Stirling Faux. She's Julie Wong, and he is Robert Burko. Mr. Burko is the CEO of Elite Digital and has been a previous guest on this program. Robert, welcome back. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, sir. Glad to be back. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you with us. And we got two headlines that Andrew and I we were jamming a couple of days ago, trying to figure out how to cover both of these stories in 1.5 hour with one guest, and we both decided you're the guy. So here are the two headlines, and we'll take them in order. Smartphones may be making us more impulsive. This according to a very extensive new European study, and should come as no surprise to anyone, Robert. The other one, misinformation online leading to confusion in understanding the severity of COVID-19. Significantly more a serious topic, Robert, but let's start with the lighter of the two, because in many ways they're both related, because a lot of people who are getting misinformation in part two of this conversation are getting it online and on their phones. So let's talk first of all about people and smartphones.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about the world we live in now, right? I mean, if you were to draw a picture of the human body, you almost have to include an extra limb, and that extra limb today is people's smartphones.
Yep.
People don't leave home without it. You know, at all times, I basically have my phone with me. It's an extension of our body, and that's really changed everybody's behavior, because essentially what it's done, for better or worse, and there's a lot of good that has come from that.
Sure.
But also for better or worse, we've also kind of become addicted to it. We now live in a world where I have all of the world's information in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I do in my life, everything from I can order groceries, I can do my finances, I can get information, I can watch videos, I can learn something. All of that is on my phone, in my pocket at all times.
Yep.
And that's literally created a society of, why would I wait for anything? Why would I wait for anything at all these days when we live in an on-demand society where everything is there at the touch of a button?
And, of course, that provides a very short turnaround in terms of gratification or need for satisfaction or resolution impulse, which becomes pretty narrow in some cases, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we've done now is, and if you think about it, right, let's think back to gambling, right? Because a lot of times when we talk about addiction and things like that, we talk about gambling,
yep.
right? So with the slot machine, you're pressing a button, and when you press that slot machine button or pull that lever, you're waiting to see what comes in the real spin, and you see what happens.
Yep.
Now imagine that same concept, but you're not pressing a button on a slot machine. You're swiping down on your phone to see if you got another like, another comment. Did anybody retweet me?
Mm-hmm.
We now live in a world that is measured by likes and followers and things like that, and it's so immediate. If I post something 5 seconds later, someone likes it, I'm posting it because I want that immediate gratification.
Right.
And we really fostered a society that craves that needs it. I have 3 little kids at home, and when I film a video of them, and I'll never forget this, I film videos of them all the time, as all parents do, and my kids look at the camera at the end of the video and say, please like and subscribe. As if they think they're live streaming to the world. I'm like, I'm recording a video to send to your grandparents.
That's
they
right.
really don't have to like and subscribe. But yeah, at the same time, we fostered this culture of the core success factor, the KPI, if you will, the key performance indicator
right.
that everybody is looking for that immediate gratification is, I need more likes, I need more subscribers, I don't want to wait, I want to see it now. And it creates real anxiety in people, too, because hey, how come I posted something and I didn't get more likes?
Well, there you go.
I didn't get more comments. And they want that immediate gratification of, there is no more, oh, I'll wait for it. Delayed gratification is gone. And we all know that, because I remember at the beginning of the pandemic when all of us were so spoiled that they can click one button with Amazon and have something arrive at their door tomorrow.
Yep.
And then suddenly, wait a second, I'm not going to get the stuff that I ordered for a week. An entire calendar week. This is insane. And that's because we believe this should be on demand. I should have it minutes after I do this.
That's right.
And really, everybody, I mean, and I work in digital marketing at Elite Digital, so we talk about a frictionless experience. Okay, we talk about making things easier for consumers and playing into the fact that they have these impulse behaviors.
Right.
So sticking with the theme of Amazon, we all know adding to your cart on Amazon and checking out is a real easy process. And yet Amazon is smart enough to know that they need a buy now button. So the people who really are impulsive, that clicking add to cart is just too much work, they just click buy now and they have it right away. That's playing into the fact that we're impulsive. It's playing into the fact that I do want one click. It's playing into the fact that I'm way too lazy to reach into my pocket and pull out my wallet and pull out a credit card. I want to tap the side of my phone and immediately be able to pay for something.
Right.
Because I want it now and I don't want to wait.
Yeah, and that's not even add to cart and go to checkout. It's buy now, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so at Elite, my team, I often drive them nuts because we'll build an e-commerce store and they'll show me and they'll say, Rob, guess what? Great news. It only takes 5 clicks to check out. And I say, that's wonderful. Now do it in 4. Right. And they'll go back and they'll come back to me and they'll say, guess what, Rob? We now did it in 4. And I go, good. But you know what? Now I want it in 3. And the reason I want it in 3 and the reason I push them to 2 and the reason things like Apple Pay and all that are getting more and more popular is because it's about making things so easy and so impulsive that if we think back years ago, it used to be when you were checking out of the grocery store, they put stuff by the cash you'd pick up, that pack of gum. They were relying on that impulse purchase.
The magazine, et cetera.
Yep. Exactly. All that was right there. And now imagine that amplified a million times over because our entire worlds are online, and that same impulse behavior that shows us something we want and makes it so easy for us to get it, it's just everywhere. It's everywhere in our lives these days, and we've all been conditioned that you don't have to wait. We live in an on-demand society, right? Even think about things like Netflix. You don't have to wait for episode 2 of that show.
That's right.
It's already there. The whole season. Go to town. So we've really developed this sort of culture of immediacy and instant gratification and I don't want to wait. And it's really changed the way we think. It's changed the way we behave. And marketers know this. So as a marketer, they're looking at a million different data points of every consumer. What do you like? What are you interested in? What are you likely going to click on?
Right.
And they put that in front of you because they know we're so impulsive that if you're starting to think about holiday gifts and you have a child, the advertisers know to put that in front of you and make it so easy to buy it because you're going to be impulsive. You're going to see what you need. You're going to act on it. And you're going to jump on it. And that's basically the society we've become these days, which is really interesting.
And it's pinpoint target marketing. It happens on your phone because they have enough data about you and your personal shopping habits and the makeup of the characters in your life to be able to target quite specific ads to the, again, the holiday the theme that you're developing here. I mean, it's very cleverly and very personal, isn't it? Targeted stuff.
Well, absolutely. I mean, let's ask the big question. Who do you think knows more about you? You or the advertisers? And I'm going to hear spoiler alert, everybody. It's not you. If I tell you to describe your habits and your interests and what you like and what you're probably going to buy next, you're not even close. Because the advertisers, and again, I want to flag, like at Elite, we use this power for good. It's all done ethically, and there's a proper way to do this.
Sure.
But there's so much data on what you do online. You know, your phone is tracking your location, your behaviors, everything you do on social media, the posts you like, what you're posting. All of this data formulates a profile about you that is vastly better than the way you would describe yourself. And that's why we all see such targeted ads. But coming back to sort of the impulsiveness of it, when you see an ad that's hyper-related to you versus I see an ad that's hyper-related to me, that's why I'm keen to click on it, you're keen to click on it, you're keen to buy it, because you're like, wow, it's like my phone heard what I was thinking and put this ad in front of me.
Exactly.
And it didn't hear what you were thinking. It's just smart enough to know how to connect the dots, knows we're all impulsive, and it's as if Robert Burko is about to buy this item, we want to put this item in front of Robert Burko.
Indeed. Robert Burko, take a quick breath, and I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back with the second half of the conversation, which is, given all of this ability of those who want to get to us and have our undivided attention, why are we having so much confusion when it comes to COVID-19 messaging? Somebody's dropping the ball big time. Robert Burko with us, back with us from Elite Digital Marketing in Toronto. And we're back with more in a moment.
This is Weekend Mornings on 980 CKNW.
5 degrees in downtown Vancouver, 7:18. Robert Burko joining us from Toronto. Mr. Burko is the CEO of Elite Digital. It's a marketing online company. Robert is back with us today. We're talking about a couple of things. And the big story, of course, is the second wave, Robert, the fact that we're dealing with an escalation, an uptick in case occurrences of COVID-19 from coast to coast in the country, and a lot of frustration being expressed among Canadians of all ages with respect to the kind of information we're receiving. A lot of it deliberate misinformation, and some of it just poorly communicated from the top down. For example, we had a guest on with us last weekend, Robert, that said governments ought to spend, they got so much money, and they have only one message, which is, observe the protocols, behave yourself, and stay indoors as much as possible. And yet, one person pronouncing that message to all isn't necessarily going to guarantee the message will be heard by all. For example, Ryan Reynolds did a Twitter thing with "Don't kill my mom," which was spectacularly effective in the age group that it was supposed to go to. What they're saying, though, is there's not enough of that targeting of specific groups by government to make sure they understand exactly the same message, perhaps expressed just a little differently. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, there's a war. There's a war happening, and it's an unfortunate war, but there's an information war happening, and right now, at this very moment, it's questionable about who's winning.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of examples where, sadly, misinformation is winning. And we know we live in a world where perception is reality. Okay? That's the situation. So perception is reality, which means the information we get is what we internalize as truth. So now, unlike years and years and years ago, right? Think back. Let's go back 30 years in time, okay? If you wanted to, I was in school, I was a student, I had to get information, I had to go to the library, right? I had to go to the library. Hopefully people remember what a library is still, but we had to go there, and that was where you'd find sources of truth and you'd find facts. And then, I remember when Microsoft released Encarta in 95, and suddenly we had an encyclopedia, and now we can get truth there. Well, jump fast forward to today, and truth could, in theory, be everywhere.
Yeah.
Everything is online. You don't need to go to the library. When I was a student, Wikipedia was not a valid source. Now
Right.
Wikipedia could be a valid source, but you could almost find a source online for any fact you want to prove. If I tell my wife today something and she goes, "That's not truthful," I could find a website that says what I just said is probably truthful. And that's concerning.
Yes.
And that's a problem. I remember at the beginning of COVID, my mother sent me a message saying, "I heard if you can, hold your breath for 10 seconds, you don't have COVID." And I said, "Mom, if testing was that easy, why are they all talking about this problem with testing?
Right.
Everyone could just hold their breath and we'd be done." So the reality is we're getting fed all of this misinformation. And that's really a problem at a time when we're dealing with a global pandemic. And the truth and the science is critically important. If everybody were to follow the science, if everybody were to heed the advice of the experts who understand how this works, we'd all be doing a better job. We'd be able to fight this thing a lot better. But in a world with mixed information where sometimes our governments are bringing a knife to a gunfight, sometimes the people trying to spread misinformation are trying harder.
Yes.
It's easy to put a message in front of someone on social media. It's easy to have websites that spew false narratives. So if our government is trying to bring a knife to a gunfight to say, "Here's what we need you to do," what they're saying may be good, but they have to say it louder. They have to say it more consistently. You have to fight fire with fire. And if people are going to be spewing falsehoods, especially as we get closer to the vaccine, where the efficacy, the science around it, the safety profile, all that needs to be understood.
Yeah.
And we're literally days away from starting to see things like the vaccine is not safe and the vaccine is going to make your leg fall off. And none of that is true. But if you read it enough times and people start to think that maybe this is true, maybe the science doesn't matter, maybe what Joe's blog is telling me is the truth, we're going to have a real problem on our hands, because if people read the misinformation and don't do the safety protocols, don't follow the science of the vaccine, we're in for a much longer, tougher run of this than we have to be.
Yeah, and we want to get 30 seconds here, Robert, but governments can help us a lot by smartening up with the focus of their messages, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, there needs to be consistent, focused messaging that's hitting all the target demographics. There has to be one narrative. It has to be the truth. They have to spread that to everybody. They have to spread it properly. You know, if the virus can spread rapidly, the truth and good information has to spread even more rapidly, because that's how we all fight this thing together.
Interesting stuff. Give us the website, Robert, so people can go learn more about your company while they're trying to sort out all this excellent conversation you've given us this morning.
Absolutely, sir. Go to elitedigitalagency.com, proudly helping all Canadian businesses get through this tough time with great digital marketing solutions.
Great to have you back, Robert. Always fun, and we'll do this again. And stay well, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Robert,
you too. Stay safe.
Yeah, you bet. Robert Burko joining us from Elite Digital Agency in Toronto. Interesting guy, and some great advice for government there. And I don't know about you, but we do hear expressions of frustration in terms of, shall we say, mixed messaging. It's not very helpful. 7:24. It's a 5-degree Saturday morning. We'll take a break for the news right here on CKNW Weekend Mornings.